Regarding the issue of the anime blackening Sanji's character, the anime has actually been doing this for a while as a longtime Sanji hater. The reason this recent incident has caused such a significant impact is due to the frequent and deliberate modifications to Sanji's character in the newly updated episodes, showing differential treatment and making elementary mistakes that are no longer acceptable. One Piece fans both domestically and internationally are outraged, criticizing Toei Animation's questionable operations and standing up for Sanji. In the early anime, there was no bias against Sanji, and his appearance was consistently handsome. However, starting from the Whole Cake Island arc, the animation team began frequently altering Sanji's scenes, and these questionable operations weren't just alterations. They were deliberate attempts to make him look bad. In the Whole Cake Island arc, during Sanji's battle with Judge, the anime used Reiju to suggest that Sanji appeared injured. But was that actually the case? In the manga, during this exchange, Sanji blocked Judge's attack with a single leg, after which nearby soldiers marveled at how Sanji blocked the blade with his leg. Though Sanji was down on one knee, he calmly lit a cigarette, showing no signs of injury afterward. Reiju's original line was praising Sanji for becoming so strong, with no mention of him being injured. The battle between them was clearly portrayed as evenly matched, but the anime directly altered the dialogue to make it seem like Sanji couldn't defeat Judge. Later, when Luffy defeated Katakuri and was picked up by Sanji, Pecoms transformed into his Sulong form to cover their retreat. Here, the anime created an incomprehensible original scene. Pecoms, somewhat losing his mind, struck Sanji with a punch that knocked him unconscious, which was absolutely ridiculous. Even more absurd was that Oven then knocked out Pecoms with a single punch, despite Sanji having previously kicked and dazed Oven. The anime team's modification of Pecoms knocking out Sanji with one punch was unnecessary and confusing. However, when it comes to Sanji's gentler side, the animation team selectively ignored it. For example, when Sanji was leading Luffy to break through, they were struck by Charlotte Yuan's hand that suddenly transformed into a giant hammer. In the manga, Sanji used his body as a cushion for Luffy to reduce the damage to him. The anime didn't show this scene and instead portrayed both Sanji and Luffy crashing hard onto the ground together. In the Onigashima arc, when Sanji went invisible to infiltrate and fought against Queen, the animation team also heavily modified their battle. In the manga, Sanji blocked Queen's kick with one leg, and the two faced off in midair. After throwing Momonosuke away, Sanji was then butted by Queen's beast form, and they crashed into a building together. Their exchange in the manga was brief, but in the anime, after exchanging kicks, Sanji attacked Queen, but was blocked by a single arm. The anime created an original meteor bridge kick for Sanji, a flying kick that Queen intercepted with one hand while standing in place. This caused significant criticism at the time. Later, Sanji was shown being chased and beaten by Queen, with his speed completely overwhelmed, making Sanji look quite pathetic. The problem is that none of this happened in the manga. During the star moment when Zoro and Sanji confronted Queen and King, Oda clearly intended to treat them equally in the manga. After Marco set the stage, Zoro and Sanji's technique names appeared simultaneously, and they attacked together. However, in the anime, they provocatively gave almost all of the Prince Double Wing's special effects and poses to Zoro, greatly enhancing his presence and making him look extremely powerful. In contrast, Sanji merely showed his face on the side, as if he were just a supporting character who accompanied with a technique, completely reduced to a background role. By the time of the Egghead arc, the anime's serious distortion of Sanji had become unacceptable. First was Sanji's battle with Burning Angel Jinbe. In the manga, Sanji dominated Little Jinbe throughout, but the anime drastically changed this. They created an original scene where Little Jinbe choked Sanji and threw him away. Later, when Little Jinbe attacked Nami, Sanji saved the day with a medium-rare burst kick in a moment of crisis. There was even a cool, reassuring slim-fit special effect, and Sanji was so relaxed he could block Little Jinbe's punch with his face. However, in episode 1124, they created an original scene where Nami saved Sanji. Sanji was injured by Little Jinbe and down on one knee. The ridiculous part is that Sanji, who has now awakened his genetic enhancements, could be easily injured. Nami restrained Little Jinbe with her bubble gun, and Sanji thanked Nami for saving him. A complete and absurd alteration. The treatment of Zoro and Sanji in the anime's added scenes couldn't be more different. In another battle with burning angels, Kaku, Little Mihawk, and Little Kuma faced off and were no match. Then Zoro arrived and fought hard against 2 burning angels to save Kaku. The disparity in how these original scenes were handled is just too great. There's also when Sanji heard Stussy say that those who knew about the giant kingdom were silenced. Sanji's expression in the manga was one of normal surprise, but it was altered to an ugly slanted expression in the anime. Additionally, Sanji acting like a dog and barking in front of Stussy was entirely anime original content. Sanji's heart eyes toward Bonnie also raised questions. Bonnie is only a 12-year-old child, so to avoid any misunderstanding, Oda never had Sanji use heart eyes toward her, but the anime added this themselves. This easily creates misinterpretations about Sanji's chivalry. Of course, the most unacceptable issue was in episode 1123, where the family portrait of the Straw Hat crew after capturing York didn't include Sanji. The position where Sanji should have been became an empty space. If we say the animation team was careless, then why could they add such detailed elements as the 2 swords behind Zoro? If we say the animation team is so attentive to detail, then how could they make a whole living person like Sanji disappear? Whether it's a careless mistake or intentional bias, entering the Egghead arc, the anime's art style has indeed become more comfortable and visually appealing than before. However, these modifications and differential treatment toward Sanji are truly unbearable. Oda has clearly been treating both characters equally in the recent 2 arcs, so the operation of weakening Sanji to highlight Zoro actually brings hate to Zoro and distorts Sanji, tarnishing both sides. The animation team really needs to be more careful. What are your thoughts on the anime's treatment of Sanji? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this analysis interesting, please like and subscribe to my Amy Chan channel for more One Piece content. Thanks for watching. You absolutely wouldn't believe the absurd changes the One Piece anime has made to the story besides constantly bad-mouthing Sanji. Many fans often say the power scaling is broken, and the root cause is the anime. For example, the following 5 scenes were never drawn by Oda at all. They're completely original content added by the animation team, yet some fans believe them to be canon. I guarantee at least one of these scenes had you completely convinced. The first scene shows Zoro cutting his own captain. Some people claim that the X-shaped scar on Luffy's chest was caused by Zoro, but this was actually filler content added by the animation team to pad out episodes. Although Zoro often threatens to kill Luffy verbally, he has never actually raised his sword against his captain. As for the true origin of Luffy's chest scar, it was inflicted by Akainu during the Marineford War. Oda clearly explained this to readers in an SBS column. The second scene depicts Jinbe fighting against Mihawk. Though both were warlords, the latter is known as the world's greatest swordsman, essentially on the level of a Yonko. In the anime, Jinbe loses to Mihawk after just one exchange. From a power scaling perspective, this gap shouldn't be so vast. Jinbe has faced Yonko-level opponents before and should easily last 10 rounds. How could he possibly be defeated by Mihawk so quickly? The animation team clearly doesn't understand the power system when adding these original scenes. The third scene shows Whitebeard beating up Akainu. This is probably the most iconic scene in One Piece, where Whitebeard thrashes Akainu so thoroughly that it gives the impression that a Yonko could handle 3 admirals. But the manga tells a different story. In their actual confrontation, Whitebeard suffered more damage, losing half his head. During the Marineford War, Akainu was an unstoppable force of destruction who could still get up and chase after Jinbe, even after taking a heavy hit from Whitebeard. The fourth scene shows Luffy being knocked away by Batman. This is the most ridiculous anime-only content I've ever seen. Before arriving in Wano, Luffy had already defeated Katakuri, meaning he could at least go toe-to-toe with a Yonko commander. Yet in this scene, Batman not only easily blocks Luffy's angry attack, but counterattacks and sends him flying. The 5th Emperor of the Sea losing to a minor beast pirate's grunt? Even Oda would burst into laughter seeing this episode. The 5th scene shows Van Augur one-shotting Biscuit Soldiers. In the story, Luffy's Gear 3rd couldn't even damage Cracker's Biscuit Soldiers, yet Van Augur can destroy them with a single bullet. Damage comparable to Kaido's Thunder Bagua. But it gets more absurd. Gamba can physically withstand Van Augur's bullets, and Beppo can block them with random stones picked up from the roadside. So why are these Biscuit Soldiers with 800 million bounties shattered by a single shot? Oda only drew the outcome, but the animation team created such ridiculous battle sequences that they might as well have stopped following One Piece after Roger's death.